I do art journals. I put the books together, I put the pages in them. I usually draw most of the things that are in the pages. The reason I do that is because, to me, you can take art journaling anywhere. All you need is a bunch of paper, a magazine, an old book, a dictionary, whatever you can find, a cereal box. Whatever you find, you can make a journal out of. On days that I'm sad, I might make a little sadder journal picture, but on 99% of the time, there are things that make me happy and things that I think will make my friends happy once I give them a journal.
Well, the Paul Tregurtha is the largest freighter bulk carrier on the Great Lakes. It's 1,013 feet. There are other 1,000-footers running around the Great Lakes, but this is the largest. I had the pleasure and joy of spending 6 days on it back in 2013, and through some friends who finagled me a ride, we were able to get on the ship. They don't call them ships, they call them boats in the Great Lakes. But we got on at the St. Clair power plant, DT Energy, because I worked at Detroit Edison DT Energy for 50 years. And they were able to get me on board. And back in the wheelhouse here is up at the top. The windows here, we had it was like an apartment. There were 4 staterooms and a beautiful salon, they call it. And the television, big huge TV, and beautiful furniture, lazy boy chairs. You could look out the front windows here and see the 900 or so feet out in front of you as you're cruising across Lake Superior. We went from St. Clair Power Plant up the St. Clair River into Lake Huron up in the St. Mary's River, and through the locks. The first time we went through the locks was at 4 o'clock in the morning after a thunderstorm, and it was amazing. And so we got that set up and got into Lake Superior, sailed all the way across Lake Superior.
This is a watercolor painting, a portrait of a musician, Tom. He came and serenaded one of my art classes on Thursday evenings. A few times it was so soothing to have live music while we painted, and it was very inspiring. So I asked Tom if I could do his portrait, and he agreed. And so we did it pretty quick, and it was right here in this gallery. There were other paintings on the wall, and so I've included those to just give some ambiance to the place where it all happened.
You know, I knew she was working on it. I seen it when she first started it. And then the other day, about 2 days ago, I think it was, she sent me a picture of it. I seen it on the phone. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then today I finally got to see it in person. And it's like, oh, it's even better in person. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your music. And I want you to have it.
Oh, well, thank you.
As as a gift from me to you, and thank you so much
thank you very
for the
much.
serenade.
This painting is quite a departure from my normal work. I normally work very intricate and very tight and very close. And this past fall, I was inspired by fall colors. And I had this big frame sitting around, and I decided to just go out and get some canvas and just have fun making an imaginary landscape. So this is kind of my happy fall place. And of course the mountains and the sky. But then I did these dancing trees, and I just thought they'd be whimsical and fun and just something totally out of imagination, nothing really in reality at all.
So I made this piece a few months ago, and it's one of the pieces that I just created a sketch and then I created it in real life. Now, when I'm working on art, in this case, I had a very purposeful intention of what I wanted to capture. And I wanted to capture two figures, one ripping out the heart of another. And I don't mean that in like a gruesome sense, I mean that in a metaphorical sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm ripping my own heart out, and I wanted to talk about that and expression and being yourself and stuff like that. I've always had trouble figuring out what was being true to myself. And I'm having really visceral reactions when I'm creating artwork like this because it's so hands-on. I'm crafting the clay after my sketch. Let me just walk you through the process of creating this and why I intended it to look like this way. So, for one, I took photographs of me in a few different poses, and then I took those photographs and I made a sketch, because whenever I'm creating 3D work, I don't like to work off of a photograph. I like to work off of a sketch. And sometimes there's things you can't capture with a photo that you can with your own mind and just a pencil.
This painting is called Two of Us, and it is inspired by the music of Lennon-McCartney, and it's sort of exploring some autobiographical stuff and interpersonal relationships through the lens of the music. So obviously I've represented John Lennon as a walrus here in reference to the Beatles song I Am the Walrus off of Magical Mystery Tour, and then the ram represents Paul McCartney in reference to his first solo album after the band split up, Ram. And the composition of the background as well as the lighting and accessories come from the music video for Strawberry Fields Forever. And this piece was part of an installation of 9 paintings I did for the BFA exhibition at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And there was sort of a theme running through the pieces in that show of soulmates. So this is kind of a piece about platonic soulmates, but also doomed relationships that can't really last. So the painting is meant to be deliberately disorienting and have no correct orientation for which it is to be hung or viewed. When I was painting it, I would repeatedly flip it so different ends would be facing up, and I didn't really decide until the final installation of it which way I was going to show the piece. And that disorienting effect is meant to mimic kind of a dreamlike state. And dreams in the unconscious are something I am very interested in and tend to explore a lot.
This is my painting entitled Dry Socket. I did this last winter, and it was when I had just gotten my wisdom teeth out and I had just gotten a really rough haircut. And so I just kind of really wanted to channel the oh my gosh that I was feeling, and turned out to be this. I just gotten some new paints, so it all just kind of came together, and all spurred by my face being a bit swollen and my jaw being a bit in pain.